This is House Planning Help, episode 266. Hello, I'm Ben Adam Smith, and this is the podcast for you if you're interested in self-build or renovation. I'm exploring what houses we should be building in the 21st century and trying to break down the major roadblocks that may get in our way. Coming up today, two guests as I explore the subject of sweat equity. Ajay Boardman is the client, project manager and labourer, and Nigel Bowley is the carpenter builder. So how is it working on site? And that's what we're going to find out in a moment. So I can't believe that I've already been living in my passive house for a whole year. And there's not much to report as we hit the year mark, other than I do love this time of year. This is great when things are starting to get colder at night times. Everyone else is putting on their heating both in the morning and at night time. But when you're in your passive house, you just look at the sunshine coming in through the window and enjoy that. That's your heating. That's when it feels, I know it's happening all the time, but this is when you really notice it, when everyone else puts their heating on and you just don't. You're feeling lovely and comfy. Perhaps you change your attire. In the summer, I like to be in my shorts, but now the temperature is dipping a little bit in the house towards 20, so trousers back on again for the winter. Now, I mention all of this because if you don't know what Passive House is and you want a great introduction, the National Self-Build and Renovation Centre hold workshops. I think it's a couple of times each year, and I'm looking forward to getting involved with the next one. But if this one's been and gone, no doubt there'll be others scheduled. So we'll put a link in the show notes, and I look forward to going down there and sharing my experience, what's been going on. Most of the time, not much is actually going on. You don't notice people walk into the house. I bet they have no clue it's a passive house. Self-build is often a misnomer. We mean self-commissioning, but it can be extremely rewarding when you get more involved in your project. And that's what I'm hoping to highlight today. And while you can do all the work yourself, pull in a couple of mates, there's bound to be a learning curve, and that might be felt in the building in some way or seen in the building. But what if you work with a professional to create your home? Is that even something that happens? Well, yes, because that's what this podcast is about today. It's happening on AJ's project. It's just her and carpenter Nigel Bowley. And two things that I noticed immediately from walking on site was just a lot of hard work going on, as you might expect, but also a lot of laughter. And that perhaps goes hand in hand with the hard work. I see that on a number of sites. So we're not going to dwell on the whole build story too much today, no planning permission or design details and all the rest of it. I just want to jump straight to it and focus on what makes this work on site and how you might be able to do it yourself if you wanted to go this way, because of course it's a way to save money. But first I asked AJ what she's building.
Passive house, 260 square metres. It's in the South Downs National Park.
You're building with HPH266, which is a system that I know very well, having seen Buckinghamshire Passive House rise up. How did you want to do this? What was going to be the way that you were going to build?
Okay, well, we were going to go with a different company, Touchwood, but we liked HPH266 and we liked Jay, but couldn't find anybody. But then Nigel was recommended. Once we found Nigel and he was really confident that he could do the timber frame, then we decided to go with HPH266.
But you wanted to do a lot of this work yourself. So what gave you that confidence?
I didn't have a job, so I had the time and probably didn't want to spend money on someone else project managing it. And seeing as then I was going to project manage it and then I didn't have a job, I might as well labour. And I'm a practical person, so yeah, seemed a natural thing to do, really.
Nigel, when did you first hear about this project?
2018, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, 2018, July maybe. Then we had our first meeting, maybe September. Normally for my projects, it takes a year at least for them to start.
What's your background then? What kind of projects have you been working on before?
So I'm a carpenter by trade. I started in 1986. I joined the youth training scheme. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I left school, and just thought I'll have a go at that. And then so I started with a small builder building quality homes, slightly different homes to normal, just with the stone type brick corbel type houses. So I think we built 4 or 5 of those for about 5 years, I guess. Started from everything, doing everything. So I watched the building grow from ground up, as we're doing for this home right now. From then I started smaller jobs, and the jobs have been growing in size. Extensions, kitchens, bathrooms, internals, bit of commercial work, on-site work.
Did the roofs in Germany?
Roofing in Germany, that was after a short spell in the army, Royal Engineers for 3 years.
So do you tend to work by yourself and just sort of fit into teams?
So I do work by myself, mainly for the control of the building. I'll always be that lead person, and I'll get people in to work with me, alongside me, subcontractors. I do everything myself. I can do everything to a quality trade skill standard. Yeah, so I'm quite competitive.
And you get people in, don't you?
I get people in. The bigger the project, the more people I get, really. This project here, we seem to be just AJ and I just really working together and getting the job done.
So when AJ first suggested being the labourer, not only that, the client, but also the project manager, how do you size that up?
Very doubtful if that was possible, to be honest. One, for my own previous experience of getting labourers in, a lot of them are rubbish because they're just not really interested in the job. Yeah, a few guys have taken it on, but that's only in their own interest to then improve their skills to go on to be something else on their own. So that is the person you need. You always know you're going to be losing them soon, one day in their lives, and the rubbish ones you don't want anyway. So I had my doubts, and the reason I think AJ is very good at it is she's got a great interest in the building, and so listens and does what's asked, really, and the skills are there.
You've got to have manual skills.
You've got to have manual coordination and be able to use your hands.
Some people do and some people don't.
And that's the thing with a labourer. It's like they can be good, but they might not be able to do, they might be good at lifting, but they can't use their hands in coordination.
So how did you start off that relationship of working together? Was it just very much on a shall we see how this goes basis?
Yeah, I mean, you haven't got a contract, you just get paid weekly, so I think it was a good get out for you if it had all gone, because we started just with levelling the site and everything, and I think you probably would have known by then. You probably could have bailed quite quickly.
Is that true?
Then.
Would you have known in the first couple of
You
weeks?
knew.
That's the time.
Yeah, so whenever I've started working on site, say, the guy would always say, I'll tell within 24 hours, I know if you're going to be all right. And you knew straight away, I'm going to be good at this, you'll employ me anyway, and they always did. So you know straight away someone can do it, I think. And so within that first week, I knew it would be all right. The way AJ and her dad worked, we got that first week. It was quite a successful week.
We worked really hard for a couple of weeks, didn't we?
Yeah.
We just got a digger in and we were just at it for a couple of weeks, weren't we, really?
And then we both realised that, it's all right, we can do this, we can work together, just on that first week, kind of thing.
But the communication, I think we had a bit of it was trying to coordinate what you had in your head, and we did those diagrams, didn't we? What needed ordered or doing, and I didn't know what that was.
Yes.
And then we worked that all out into sections, right? This is what we need for this bit of the foundations, and this is what we need. And then I knew all the bits that needed ordering or doing, because I didn't. He knows that, but I didn't.
This is
know
quite
that.
handy because as a client, I was certainly removed from the process because I was watching it, filming a lot of it. But you are actually doing it as well. So does that give you a good level of staying in touch with exactly what nothing's going to happen if your next steps aren't ordered and arranged?
Yeah, exactly.
You had the skills already then to say, well, I know how to do a spider chart. Well, I've never done a spider chart. It's the kind of the mind mapping of how things, and so I said we need this by then, and so it's just having the skills to map out something to understand your own.
But also
right
have a
version of how you wanna
concept
do it.
of, you're talking about coach bolts or whatever, and to have a concept, not just having what the hell's a coach, just have a concept, which I do have a concept, I think, from having laboured for Dad and doing all that type of work.
Right, so it's important that we mention that you're on a farm, and I think by default you probably get dragged into doing lots of stuff.
Well, I ended up with not having a job, and so I said, and Dad's got loads of stuff to do on the farm, so I just ended up working for Dad doing manual labour, basically. So yeah, I have this sort of a practical ability.
But you
and
enjoy this,
understanding.
don't you?
Yeah, I enjoy manual work. Quite like being strong and fit. And
what about the learning side of things? Has there been a steep learning curve, or is it just, every job as it comes, this is what we need to do here?
If you look at the whole mass of a job, it's quite overwhelming sometimes for anybody. And if you break down every part of the job into 3 or 4 things, and that's all you know, that's all you need to know on the day, or for 5 days, or for half a day, or for an hour. It's just those things, that's all you need to know. If you think about it more than that, you'll have a breakdown pretty quick after that. So it's keeping it simple, always.
And the actual system itself, any concerns coming into this? Obviously professional carpenter, but has it just been quite straightforward?
So we visited a site in the New Forest, the PH15 type building, and just by seeing the building I understood what's got to be done and how it was all put together.
you were
really.
very confident about...
Straight away you
Yeah.
can see it's all right.
But you were confident about not only just the timber frame aspect, which is obviously your thing, but you were confident about coordinating the slab with the timber frame and getting the slab as level as it needs to be able to sit that timber frame on top of it, and he was confident that he could do both those things.
So as things move forward, the setup of PH15, it's a lot of carpentry, but will other people be involved further down the line as we get to the other jobs, or how
Might
we're
get an
thinking?
electrician in, but I'll probably do the MVHR ourselves, do the plumbing ourselves, plasterboard.
Yeah, tape and
Into-
jointing, decorate. We'll probably end up doing it all, really, just because I think AJ enjoys that side of it as well. Really
But I'd
doing
much rather
everything.
get if someone was to come in and do painting, that's fine, but I'm happier, and you'd be happier to let that go, someone to come in and paint. But I don't think we'd be so happy with someone to come in and screw that airtight board or tape it, because that's essential to getting that airtight.
So is it a bit of
So-
ownership though, because you've used subcontractors, so you're aware that other people can do that, but it sounds like you've got in the groove that you want to
Control
you
issues.
control. Okay, I didn't want to say it. But yeah.
For both of us.
So is that good, having two people who are very controlling? Who like?
Luckily, we only control what we need to control, and we're not controlling
No,
each
I
other.
don't think so.
Well, we know, I've got control of the building. I will say what I think about it and where it needs to go, and do
And
anything.
I don't feel like any need to have anything to do with that, really. I'm happy just to
No.
do what he says.
And I leave the taping and things to you, because
Yeah,
that's
better
your.
at it.
Well, you're better at it for sure, and it's like, because I do care about it, but I'm not putting everything into it, which is quite important about getting someone in. Really, they don't care really about
No.
the taping, and they just lay it on
And
there.
some of it isn't that easy. You've got to use a little special tool and to do the edges and the corners. You've got to have, you've got to be
Now things like
willing
that. Did
to-
you get training of how
No,
to do
you
that?
have to look at the little and have some nonce and go, I wonder if at that. And so after about 2 windows, I sort of got the hang of it.
I'll
Yeah,
put my
you-
tape on wonky. I can tape, I'm not going to lie, but I'll put my tape on wonky and just, that'll do. And yours will be exactly straight. And
But it said not to
Yeah.
have any creases, so
yeah, mine might
It's
have
like
a
creases.
crease or two. I got told off. I thought, right, you're doing the taping then.
Now, in terms of being the client and also the labourer, there's an interesting sort of power play going on there, that you're in charge of the job, but
Yeah.
you're also answering to quality control here. So has that just worked out okay?
Yeah,
is
there's no
that
conflict
just in
there.
the relationship?
yeah.
For me, I feel I have to have that much control over the building. I'll say anything I need to say to get that done. And if they don't like it, they can either sack me or shut up. Really, that's how I see it, straight down the line on that one. And luckily, it just works.
There's not really any conflict there at all.
because that was a worry of mine, that someone might not be able to hold back, or it's like, well, this is my building.
Well,
I'm
Dad,
delivering.
particularly, I think you were worried that he would.
Yeah, you can get some people that know a lot and don't know the right when to shut up, really, and be quiet and not say. But he really does. He knows what
So
to do.
what would you recommend to someone else trying to replicate what you are doing here? How do you get it right?
Communication, listening to each other, and knowing where your kind of boundaries are on what to say, when to do it.
But you haven't written anything down, have you? This is just...
I'm
it
wondering
feels
whether you should go on some sort of team building week, or at least have a bailout. Like I say, right, we'll try 2 weeks
You
of
definitely-
something, not of just something practical relating to the build, like we did.
Mm. Yeah, you can't sign into a year of not the financial setup that we've done really. If I was going in for a whole fixed price, then it would be more of my control, and then if AJ wasn't good enough and I was employing her, then she'd be sacked.
Yeah.
So because of the way we've set up financially, it kind of works like that. But you need to know that you can work with that person. We didn't know really. Did we? Yeah.
And how much do you think you're saving? Is that an element that you even consider, or is it just because you've got this time, you might as well be doing this?
Well, I think if you just on the basic minimum of a labourer's wage or a semi-skilled, and I'd say you're semi-skilled because of your, either your project management or your ordering or whatever.
But that would have taken you away. The project management would have, and ordering would have taken you away, and you're the one that costs money. You don't want to be on the phone trying to phone around for how much sand costs. You need.
But it's also anything that I do that I don't need to do, whether it's. I don't mind sweeping up, but if I'm sweeping up, I'm not doing something that's.
Well, I was just going to say, do you feel like you're going at the same speed as you normally do, or does it? What's so funny?
Well, at the start, I realised I'm going to have to just slow down everything to fit into their pace of how they do things, Chris and AJ. And actually, we do have days now where we are getting back to the pace that I used to work, which is a little bit headless chicken some days, even though you're getting loads done.
Just go for a bit, for like 4 hours of just absolutely...
Yeah, I'm kind of learning to manage that by setting up for a good day now, a lot of prep work to then go for 4 hours, let's go for it.
It was a bit stop-start, because there's some things that we, the air tightness and things, we were scratching our heads for a while, so it can't always be, especially for this length of time, you can't be smashing it out all the time. But I think Nigel on his other jobs, when he's on a cost, correct me if I'm wrong, in a cost basis, he's basically just don't stop.
Well, when you price the job, you work out it's going to take me 3 days to do that, and you make sure it gets done in 3 days, and if you do it in 2.5 days, you've just made half a day's pay. So it was always that in my mind, and actually sometimes it's quite tiring because you might do 3.5 days, and it's But it's also interesting in terms of quality, because Jay, who has been with us today, the architect, but also one of the co-founders of PH15, was saying that the quality here is super high, above a lot of professionals. So that's a great compliment. Do you think some of that is actually, the pace, just not rushing it? Because when you are under that pressure, it is easy that you can let things slip. No, not at all. You can work. If you know the quality and you know how you're going to do it, then the quality will always stay there. You just move faster. Yeah. Yeah.
If this was to be done, if we did this house again, we wouldn't be scratching our heads about the air tightness, because we know about that now. So there was just scratching because it's a new thing that neither of us understood.
Yeah, once you know the process, then there's no reason to talk about anything. It's just put a screw in, get the next one up, and so on and so on. It's just repetition. And it's not we're rushing around, it's just more of a...
You know what's coming.
We know what's coming, let's get on with it. Why isn't that screwdriver here?
And people just you just need to stay focused.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just preparation really. Good prep.
Is there anything else that we need to know about this sweat equity and how you can make it happen? I mean, is the PH15 system itself making life easier? If it was something more complex, might this not work?
If you were building a masonry building, which you can still do a passive type house with that, if you were doing a masonry, it would be still the same, because it is only labour that you're saving on in that way, and you can order bricks and blocks, whatever you decide to do. So if AJ could put 2 concrete blocks on her shoulder and carry them up the ladder, absolutely great. Which I probably could actually, couldn't I? So I don't think it matters on the style or the type of building. It's just really if you're prepared to work, like properly work, because I don't think a lot of people really work that hard when it comes to physical.
So a lot of this is just determination.
Yes.
That was actually something your dad said as well, quite a lot, that you're a very determined person.
Yeah.
So, well, what kind of hours are you putting into this?
Start at 8, don't we? Depending on children, or 9.
8 till 6 some days, 8 till 4:30, 9 till 5. It just varies really, and that's a great thing with doing it yourself. It's flexible. You can kind of fit your hours in when it suits around you with your school runs,
Yeah.
whatever else you need to do. So if
It's
there
just
is
a bit tricky so Dad can, the idea was that he was supposed to work with Nigel and then I could come in and do project management stuff. But at the moment, I never get to come in and do any of that sort of stuff.
I was just going to say, are you doing that in the evenings?
No, I'm in bed by 8 o'clock.
You're just absolutely exhausted.
No, I don't. Well, no one's open at that time, so you can't. You either got to do it during the day or it just doesn't get done. And at the moment, there's not a huge amount to do at the moment, but
no.
There was when it was groundworks. There was quite a bit more.
When it moves on to the fit out, is that
will
again?
Be more again, yeah. So hopefully, maybe get some people, an electrician or someone else to do painting and all those sort of things. So I at least get some time to do some other stuff.
Are you working to a programme?
Well, that was the thing at the start. I always have, because of my previous projects, there's always a programme, and it's like it's going to be finished on that date to that day, and that's the thing that's been hard to adjust to.
I think you've done, I was about to say you've done really well adjusting to that because your timeline was so tight.
Oh, yeah.
And unrealistic.
Well, not necessarily unrealistic, because maybe 10% of the time you might have had it finished.
Every day we never have it finished.
That is the idea of pushing, isn't it? Because then the more you don't get done,
and then you're just annoyed at the end of the day because you haven't achieved.
But then if you go, well, I'm going to get this done, it's only going to take half a day. You're only ever going to do half a day's work, aren't you? So if you say, let's get that done, if we get it done once or twice, then we've achieved, haven't we?
Is that important for you as well, to set yourself, I'd like this done by the end of today?
I only go really on because on previous jobs, you can burn your labourers up quite quickly and they become unmotivated and they leave pretty quick. So you've got to really manage their physical abilities, your own physical abilities, and so you kind of have to let the job lead you in that way, really. And knowing when that is going to be a physical effort, mental effort, a slow part of the job. Yeah, you've got to understand that. Really.
And it's a long slog. It's not like a 3-month smash it out extension, is it, where you could just go for it?
Yeah, and then have 2 weeks off because you've earned it.
Yeah, this is a lot more.
And does this seem real for you as a client as well, as you get through and you've got a physical building there? You're going to be living in this. You're not even thinking about that.
No, not really. And to be honest, I'm not really that bothered. I don't know. Like, it's not about I'm not thinking, I'm going to have this like lovely light fitting, and I'm not really that interested. It's more the making of it. It's not the actual. Yes, it'll be lovely at the end, and I really want. What the nice thing about the passive house is that it's the feeling of the air, the air quality, the warmth. You're not going to get any cold spots. All that I'm really looking forward to. But I don't care about the light fittings or the.
You're going to have to do them anyway, though.
Yeah, I know.
You don't care about them. They're going to come.
Yeah.
Candle. Yeah.
But yeah, that doesn't. I don't feel precious about. I want this amazing, like, fabulous house. It doesn't really.
Well, it does sound like, all these practical elements that you've put in. It's totally tuned to you as a person, and I think going to make you enjoy the house so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for chatting to me. Interesting topic today, like that, and I wish you the best for the final few months. Good luck.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Head online to take a look at the show notes for this one. houseplanninghelp.com/266 is where you need to go. We've got a summary of today's conversation, some photos of where the build is up to, and we'll link you to Nigel and also to the Passive House Homes website. And I know AJ has plans for quite a large section of this building to be used for Airbnb, so hopefully we can link that in at a later date. And just before we move on, AJ emailed me after we did this interview with something very important that she left out. So I will read that. I really want to say how I couldn't do any of this without my mum and dad, and in addition, living on site next to mum and dad. I know people will struggle perhaps to replicate that one, but it has been the major factor to me being able to put the hours in. Other people do the school runs, and I work late with the children close by or with mum looking after them. Dad works so hard to try and help as much as he can. so I can have a break and do the project management bit. Have a break and do the project management bits? Are you joking? And in addition, help finance the project. I'm very lucky. Dad is also able to bring so many skills and tools and equipment to the project. Having a farming background, we've used the tractor loads, and there's always a tool for the job in the buildings. Yeah. So a really interesting comment. Be quite honest, we could have that on every podcast because it's so often the case and perhaps doesn't get mentioned enough, the support network and the difference it can make. houseplanninghelp.com/266 again to review this episode. My call to action today is to check out the Hub, and this is our vault of useful digital resources to help you on your self-build journey. We're trying to make things easier for you. That's the idea. And I always feel that the place that you learn the most is on site. But sometimes it's quite difficult to do that. Maybe you've got work that's stopping you, or maybe you just can't find the sites to go to. So that's one of the key things we try to bring you in the Hub, and why I invest so much time and effort in trying to bring you these videos that show you different sites and some of the things that come up, because each time something different will happen as well, and we can learn from that. Also in the Hub, we try to distill some of this learning. It could be from podcasts, it could be from videos, but just try and lay it out in an easy way to learn so you can go through those courses, get some ideas, get some checklists. And another key aspect is to bring like-minded people together, because not everyone's building a passive house or a very high-performance house or one with lots of natural materials trying to tread lightly on the planet. So we want to bring those people together to learn from each other as much as anything else, to hold each other accountable. And that's the idea. Doing all those things in the Hub. We've got our live training sessions with guest experts. We've got regular opportunities if you want to chat to me about some challenge that you're facing on your project. All of that you get as a Hub member. Go and find out more. houseplanninghelp.com/join. Next time, if you're a fan of grand designs, it's one for you. Kevin MacLeod. Yes, you heard me correctly. He's on the podcast. I can't wait. The House Planning Help podcast is produced by Regen Media, content that matters.